Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lesson we're going to cover Linux command line refresher. What I really want to do today is just cover some common commands that you're going to see in the course. You should already have a pretty good grasp on Linux. These are just a really quick overview of what to expect. You should be familiar with all of these, maybe one or two that aren't too familiar to you. So this is really just a basic overview. I'm going to cover some commands on the next slide. If all the commands are familiar to you, you can go ahead and skip this video. However, if they're not familiar to you or you're just curious to see somebody else teach a command a different way, stay tuned in the video and we're going to go into detail on every command using the command line. So some of the common commands that you're going to see throughout the course are pwd, present working directory, man, those are your manual or man pages, ls, that allows you to see the files and folders in a directory, cd changes directory, make dir makes a directory, and remove dir removes a directory, cp copies files and folders to a different location, mv is move, and that moves a file or folder to a new location. Locate allows you to search for specific files and folders. Add user allows you to add user, as it sounds. su is for switch user. Sudo is to elevate your rights to that of root. Echo echoes a command or syntax that you type in. Cat is concatenate. It just reads back a file that you select. Nano is a text editor using the command line. Chmod is for change mode, that is for changing file permissions. ifconfig, that's the same thing as ipconfig on a Windows box. It allows you to see some IP and network information about your machine. And ping allows you to ping another device in the system. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let me get logged back in here. Okay, so our first command is going to be pwd, and that shows you the present working directory. So you can see here that we are in root's home folder. We can change directory cd to another folder, say temp, do pwd again, and as you can see now it shows us that we are in temp. Another good way to see your present working directory is right here. Kali will show that to you, although some boxes that you hack into or exploit might not show this information to you. So it's a useful command to know. Let's go ahead and change our directory back to the home folder. I'm going to show you man pages really quickly. So if we say man, type in pwd. This provides information on any command you want to know about. So here, for example, with pwd, it says print name of working directory. Gives you a description, gives you some of the switches as options that you can set. Gives you the author, how to report bugs, the copyright information. You can also do this, as I said, for pretty much any command. So if we say man ls, you can list directory contents using ls. Gives you description just like before, a lot of switches for this one. So these are things you can read through if you're not familiar with a specific command. Google also works great because sometimes these man pages are long and hard to read through. And if you have a specific command you're trying to run and not sure how to run it, Google might be the faster way. So the next command I'd want to cover is ls. So let's look at ls. We type in ls here. It's going to show us the files and folders that are in the directory. So all these folders here are in blue. And then we have this text file that I created, and that is white. And that's white right now because the file permissions that are set to it. We'll go over that a little bit later. So right now what I want to show you is a specific switch to ls, which is LA. So that's going to show you the long file version and all. All meaning that you're going to see hidden files. So anything with a dot in front of it, it's going to be a hidden file. And see, you can now tell that we have some files here that we were not seeing in our original ls. And we're also seeing a lot more information using this long switch. So we can see the file permission types. We can see who owns the folder, who's looking at the folder, how big the folder is, when it was created, what time it was created. So just very good information here. I recommend anytime you're going to ls to use ls-la anyway, especially if you're in a machine, like you've hacked a machine. Always shows more information, gives you kind of a good idea, and then you occasionally catch a hidden file that you wouldn't see otherwise. So the next thing I want to show you is making a directory. So let's say make dir new directory. You type in ls. You now see that the new directory is there. We can change directory into the new directory. We ls, there should be nothing in there. And then if you want to go back a directory, you type in cd and then period. So we ls again, see that we're back in our home folder. And if you want to remove the directory that you've made or remove another directory, you could type remove dir, type in the new directory, ls again, and now you can see that it's no longer there. So the next command that we're going to go over is going to be the copy command. So I'm going to make a new file. I'm just going to touch will allow you to make a new file very quickly. I'm going to say text.txt, whatever you want to name it. ls, you can see the text.txt is there. I'm going to copy this text file into my temp folder. So this copy command is going from your current directory or the directory where you want to copy the file into your temp folder here, so where you want to put the file. So we can say enter on that. And if we ls now, we see that text.txt is still there as it should be because we are copying the file. So if we now change directory over to temp and we ls here, we can now see that text.txt is in our temp folder as well. So to give another example of this, I'm going to move to my root folder. And I just want to show you that we can copy from the root test.txt, and then we can put this wherever we want. So we can also move it to temp again, but it's already there. I just want to show you the syntax here. So if we're copying directory 1, the reason we did not use the directory last time is because the file was already sitting in our directory, and then directory where we want to place it. So just keep that in mind, that you can copy and move files from any location in the system to any location in the system. So going on from there, let's go back to the home folder. Let's create another file. I'm going to call it move.txt. If we ls, we should see that it's there. It is. So now we're going to move this file. So we say move.txt over to temp. And when we do that, if we ls again, we're going to see that it's gone. So if we change directory over to temp, we ls there, you can see that move.txt is now there. So another trick I can show you, if we go back, we can say ls temp from whatever folder you are in, and you can still see that move.txt is there. So you don't have to be in the working directory to ls. You can ls from anywhere in the system as well. So I like using copy personally because I have moved files before and it deletes them and then moves them somewhere in the system or somewhere that isn't even there. If you put it in proper directory, sometimes I've noticed that it'll delete your file and not move it where you want it to go. So I would say copy the file, even if you want to move it, copy it, move it to where you want it to be, and then go back and delete it if you need to. it's just a little bit of redundancy, and it's safer that way. Okay, so the next command that we're going to go over is the locate command. So first thing with locate that you want to do is update database. Okay, it looks like ours is pretty up to date. This just updates the file system to the database so that it's easier to search and more accurate. So if we want to say locate, I'm going to search for a file called rocku. Rocku is a text file. It's a word list that has probably over 1 million, I believe, passwords in it that's used for brute forcing. We're going to cover that later in the class. So as you can see, we searched locate rocku, and we can look through some of these, but here's really what we're looking for. We're looking for this user share word list rocku location. So if I wanted to go grab that file, I could copy this directory, change directory over here. If you ls, you see that rocku.txt is right here. So you're going to use locate a lot in the course. You're going to want to search for mostly word lists. There could be some other file types that come up later in the course that you're going to want to search for as well. It's just a very useful command to know, especially if you're on a hacked machine and you're looking for a specific file. Or in the course if you're looking for a specific proof file or network file as well. So the next command then, I'm going to go ahead and change directory back, is the add user command. So let's add user Bob. We'll go ahead and give him a password. Then you can enter in through all of these here. Just give it defaults. So once you've added a user, we're going to use the su switch user command to go onto that user. So we're going to go switch user Bob. So now you can see that we've gone from root at Kali to Bob at Kali. So if we try to do a command with Bob that involves sudo being an elevation of privileges, we should not be able to do it. Let's try to add a user Patty. Sudo add user Patty. Type in your password for Bob. And you're going to see that Bob is not in the sudoers file. So this is saying that Bob just does not have the permission to do what we're trying to do. So let's go ahead and switch user back to root. It'd be helpful if I would type the correct password. Okay, so from here, we can add Bob to the sudoers file by saying add user Bob sudo. Okay, so now he's in the sudoers group. If we switched over to Bob, we did a sudo add user Patty, typed in Bob's password, and now we're able to add Patty. And there you go. So it is imperative to know what users have sudo privileges and don't. We'll cover that a lot later in the course when we're going over file permissions and we're going over privilege escalation. And so the next basic command I want to show you here, let's switch user back to root, is echo. So you say echo hello. Just going to echo that back to you. So we can use this, for example, we can echo hello into a file. You can just say hello. I don't remember if I had the hello already on there, so I'm going to say hello2.txt. And then we can use the cat command to see what is in the hello2.txt file. And it's just hello. So the important thing to know is that if we're trying to write multiple lines to a file, which may come up, if you have a single arrow like this and not two, like this, you're going to overwrite your file. So let's say we said hello again. It just kept the single arrow and we ran a cat. There it is, hello again. So if we wanted to say hello again on a new line, again, and we cat this now. So now you can see the difference. So just know that one arrow will go ahead and overwrite the file, and 2 arrows will add a new line to the file. Very important to remember because you may overwrite something when you're doing scripting. So from there, I want to look at the permissions, the file permissions for these files. Let's go ls-la again. And we do have the hello2 right here. If you could see by the groups here, so if you take, they're in groups of 3. This is read, this is write, and this is no permission here. So this is for the owner. The owner has no executable permission on this folder, or on this file, I should say, I'm sorry. This next set of 3 is for the group, and this next set of 3 is for the user. So as root being the owner, we do not have executable permissions. So that's important because you're going to be running a lot of exploits, usually using C or Shell or Python, and pretty much after every exploit you make, you're going to have to change the file permissions in order to run it. So this next command is chmods, change mode. Very, very important to know. So if we change mode and we say +X, that just adds execute to everything, right? So we can do hello.text. And if we ls-la again and we look at hello.text, it's now green because we can execute on it. You can see that we have full ownership now as root. The groups can read and execute it. They can't write to it, and so can our standard user. So another way to look at it is there are numbers. So 7s are for full access, read, write, execute. And you can check out the number list online if you want to Google it. I always use 777 because I am just doing this for hacking purposes. I'm not managing a file system. So let's try it again on hello.text. If you ls-la again, you can see now we have full permission across the board. So it's up to your preference. In the course, either way, it'll work, +X or 777. I always use 777 because it leaves no doubt for me. So completely up to you. Okay, so in the last couple commands we're going to cover ifconfig. Same thing as ipconfig really on a Windows machine. Just gives you your IP address for your box. So you can see here that my IP address is 192.168.134.128. And I have a WAC24 netmask here, and this is my broadcast address. Useful information, especially you're going to need it when you are working on other machines. When you've hacked into a machine, you need it for your proof files. So useful command to know, probably one you already know. And one more that you already know, and our last command that we're going to cover right now is a ping command. So I'm going to go ahead and ping my machine at home. And I'm getting a response as I expect. So what we're doing here in the difference between a Linux machine and a Windows machine is that Windows is going to ping 4 times only. We can set that with a switch of C here. We can tell it how many times we want to ping. If not, it's going to ping endlessly. So if you get stuck in this scenario, just hit Control C. Control C will be your savior a lot of times throughout the course, and especially if you get stuck. So you're going to run some scripts or programs, and sometimes you're going to get stuck. Control C will back you out of it. So pretty nice to know if you don't already know it. And we have officially gone through all of the common commands. So you're going to see some more commands come up through the course. I'm going to teach you a lot of those. These are ones that you really should already know, but if you didn't know them or you kind of forgot about them, happy to have gone over a refresher with you. And until next time, I'm Heath Adams. I will catch you later.